Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Monster, episode 13. Oh, Hartman has been dealt with.
It's gone.
But the kid wants to stay with Tenma.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And there's this General Wolf guy.
General Wolf guy is the next kind of clue on the trail to Johan's origins.
Yeah.
But Dieter being with Tenma creates some problem.
It does, just a bit.
So I hope that it gets resolved in a way that's beneficial to Dieter and Tenma. But I know that Tenma's kind of a good guy, so he might end up succumbing to the...
Right. Yeah.
To this little boy who needs a family. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we've just heard about where things can get in the darkest of ways with Johan's scary, terrifying, childlike monstrosity.
Right, that whole deal.
But we're here now. Tenma is on his mission, and we'll see, I guess, what comes next.
That's right.
So without further ado, let's get into it.
Petra, 開けるんだ。
ペトラ。characters.
今日こそは検査に連れて行くからな。
何度来ても無駄だって言ってるだろう。
誰のために私がこうして迎えに来てると思っているんだ。
誰も読んじゃいないよ。
この頑固者の偏屈王だ。
Alright, yeah, let's get
Look
some
who's
comedy.
talking, you quack.
生まれてこの方医者なんぞに厄介になったことはないが、この通りピンピンしてるよ。ドクターシューマ
ー。
どうした？
酔っ払いのフィンクが国道で跳ねられたんだ。
Oh, jeez. Some kind of small town setup where...
で、意識はあるのか？
フィンクを担ぎ込んだ人が手当てしてるよ。
Ah, Tenma.
ちょうど通りかかった人がフィンクを見てるらしい。
なんだそれは？治療をさせたのか？
すいません。止めたんですけど、窒息する危険性があるので応急処置をさせてもらうって。
何者だそいつは？
さあ、名前も言わずに言ってしまって。
Nice.
カルテに何か書いてましたけど。
患者は金がない、医者に連れて行くなと上言を繰り返していたので、この金を治療費としてお使いください。
Wow.
くそ、応急処置なもんか。あれで完璧なんだよ。
Yeah. Alright, so Dieter and they're eating and...
本当に困るんだ。私についてこられても。
あんたか。人の診療所で余計なことをしてくれたの。俺を舐めるな。フィンクが門なしのアル中なのは分かっている。あいつから治療費を取ろうなんてこれっぽっちも思っちゃいない。
よ、いらっしゃい。
行くぞ、ディータ。
忙しいかね。ああ、まあ。
おい、人の話を聞け。
申し訳ありません。私たちは先を急ぎますので。
フィンクがひき逃げにあってな。
あの酔っ払いのフィンクか？
ああ、目撃者を探してるんだが。
おお、そりゃ大変だ。
Being a little bit obvious, Tenma.
よ、シューマン先生。フィンクの容体はどうです？
命に別状はない。アル中の方は心配だがね。
そちらは？
ドクターちゃん。私の大学の後輩だ。
Oh.
休暇中でちょっとこの村に
Okay, he's covering for him.
ドクターちゃん？どこかでお会いしましたか？
今日も私の代わりにフィンクを治療してくれたんだ。私が往診中にな。ところで私はどこ行ってたと思うね。ハインツ、あんたの母親ペトラのところだよ。
おふくろ？
あんたからも診療所に来るように言ってくれ。早急に治療が必要かもしれないんだ。
なんであんな嘘？
いや、フィンクを助けてくれたお礼だ。あんたの迅速な処置がなければあいつは死んでいた。
ありがとうございます。
警察を見てあれだけ青くなる。あんた、まあいい。一流病院のエリート医師じゃないことは確かだな。
Right.
本当にありがとうございました。なんてお礼を言っていいか。
お礼か。
Oh, a debt.
ちょっと返してもらおうかな。あと2週間もすれば外せるだろう。
先生、うまいリンゴ酒ができたんだ。一杯やってかねえか？
何が何を言ってるんだ。治ったら一晩中でも付き合ってやる。
I love these side characters that they keep bringing in. Shubin is awesome.
よかったな、少年さん。
先生、芋持ってってくれ。片品うまいよ。
今度トラックで来て山ほどいただいていくかな。助かったよ。私の専門は内科だ。専門外のこともできるだけのことはやっているがね。
あなたはここの人たちに愛されて、あなたもここの人たちを本当に愛してて。
愛だと？そんな上等な感情はとっくになくしたよ。私は仕事をこなしてるだけだ。さあ、もう一件付き合ってくれ。こいつが難物だ。
Here we go. Back to Petra. The impenetrable fortress.
しつこく何度も来てやる。
何度来ても同じだよ。とっととうせな。
I have a cute young man here with me.
何としても連れて行くぞ。私の生きがいをなくしてたまるか。いや、喧嘩相手がいなくなると困るって言っただけだ。あと彼女が作ったグラシェも食えなくなるからな。
おじさん顔真っ赤だよ。
なんだとこのガキ。
私たちも一生懸命なんですが、どうしてもミスは出てしまう。神様のように完璧に人を治せたらと思うんですが、お願いですから顔だけでも見せてください。
Nani? What magic is this?
ん？この匂いは。
I love this track.
グラッシュ作ってらっしゃるんですね。
なんだいあんた、グラシが好きかい。
Who doesn't like goulash?
Oh yeah.
でもドクター
Goulash
シ
is
ューマン
great.
はあなたの作ったグラッシュだけが大好物らしいですよ。
ったく、肩こってしょうがないんだけど、食事の支度はしなくちゃならないからね。
肩こり。ペトラさん、顎を胸につけられますか？
そんなことできるに決まってるだろ。ほれ。あ、
ちょっと失礼。指が4本も入る。おそらくくも膜下出血です。
なんだって。ペトラ
Jeez.
殺人容疑者の手配書のファックスだ。コピーして。
Ah,
おふくろ
crap.
大
No,
って
no,
大丈夫です。
no.
あれは殺したって死にませんから。
She won't die even if you kill her.
Oh, crap. No.
最初の発作から72時間以内。ギリギリです。早急に手術しなければ。
自分のせいで失うことになる。
Yeah.
やったぞ。うまくいけば昇進だ。
おいハインツ、電話だ。
はいハインツ。あ、どうも看護師さん。で、おふくろがまた倒れた？したんです、ドクターシューマン。この村の患者を一手に引き受けていたあなたらしくないですよ。過去に何があったか知りませんが、目の前の患者に最善を尽くす。
That's right.
医者にできるのはそれだけです。
All they can do. See, ability. They're not gods.
He's getting pretty good.
Yeah.
おい小僧、ドクターシューマンは中か？
うん、手術してるよ。
手術っておふくろのか？町の病院に運ばないでこんな診療所で？
大丈夫だよ。天馬がいるもの。
天馬だと？
What the hell are you doing?
見ての通りお前の母親の手術だ。その銃は何の真似だ？
手を挙げろ天馬。天馬！
手術中だぞ。母親を殺す気か？
そいつこそ殺す気だ。その天馬ってのは殺人容疑で逃げ回っている男だからな。
Suspected.
ハイデルベルクで男を一人殺している。
手を伏せろ。
Yeah.
ここは滅菌状態の手術室だ。
Exactly.
お前は菌を持ち込んでいる。感染すればお前の母親は髄膜炎にかかり命取りになるぞ。
それなら早く手術を中止しろ。
おふくろさんを本当に死なせる気か？
Yeah, what is your deal, dude?
お前の母親はくも膜下出血だ。
脳動脈クリップと監視を。脳動脈クリップと監視を。はい。それは俺のおふくろだ。おふくろに手を出すやつは許さねえ。
そうだ。
We are
ペトラ
not.
はお前のお
Yeah,
ふくろさんだ。
exactly.
だ
Oh,
が
okay, okay.
お前はこの5年間おふくろに何をしてやった？町へ出てから一度でも会ってやったことがあるのか？いいか、大事な人はいつかはいなくなるんだ。おふくろの作ったグラシュの味を覚えているか？今でもペトラは習慣でお前の分も作っちまうんだ。余った分は私がいただいている。あれはうまい。あの味は絶品だ。ドクター・テンマはお前のおふくろさんを助けようと必死で戦っている。またあのグラッシュが食べたければおとなしく出ていけ。
Probably change your glove.
な、天馬がいるから大丈夫だろ。
ドクター・テンマも眠ってくれ。
私も大丈夫です。
あんな困難なオペをぶっ続けてやり遂げたんだぞ。
念には念を入れないと。元気になったペトラさんにドクター・シューマンがプロポーズできるように。
プロポーズってどういうことだ？
なんだお前、眠ってたんじゃないの？
眠るもんか。そいつを連行するまではな。
Oh, okay.
No, he's dogged. Yeah,
まさかドクター、
he's doing his
バ
job.
カを言うな。大学病院時代の私は患者と話すことなんか二の次だった。病院内でいかに自分の地位を固めるか。院長の派閥に取り入れ、院長の代わりに論文を書き、近所の娘と結婚にまでこぎつけた。その後の出世街道を邁進さ。妻のことなんか目もくれなかった。長い間風邪に似た症状に悩まされていた。ちゃんと見ていれば気づいたはずだったのに、ひどい肝不全だった。彼女は息を引き取るとき、
やっと私を見てくれたのね。
Oh, okay. Wow, that shattered a
私に
man's
は
heart.
人を愛する資格なんか
Yeah,
ないんだよ。
I understand that. Oh my gosh.
そんなことないです。
I mean, it's obviously
あなたはちゃんと見ていた。この村の人たちをちゃんと見ていた。あなたが見ていたからペトラさんは助かったんだ。
But hey, you know what the other cop's not doing
ま
is
だこ
going
の
back
男を
for
連行
backup.
する気か。
That's true.
お前の母親の命を必死になって救ったこの男、まだ殺人犯だと思うのか？
Yeah. That guy's got some thinking to do.
ハインツ。
ハインツです。部長。部長。
He's gonna tell
すみ
him
ませんで
that
した。
I lost the guy.
人違いでした。
Oh,
非常線を解いてください。
wow.
私が見たのは天馬ではなく、ドクター・チャンという男でした。東洋人なので見間違えました。申し訳ありません。すみませんでした。
いくらもうこの村は安全だ。逃げる必要はない。
Yeah.
ドクター・シューマン。
データ、お前もここが気に入ったろ。
そうか。ディーターにはこの村はいいかもしれませんね。
ディーターだけじゃない。あんたもこの村なら警察から守ってやれる。
私はある男を殺さなくちゃならないんです。
なんだって。
Yeah. It's such a perfect contradiction.
どういうことだ、天馬。あんたにそんなことができるわけはない。人の命をあんなに必死で救おうとするあんたに。
行っちゃうよ。天馬はどんなことしても行っちゃうよ。
行け、ディーター。お前が一緒なら天馬は道を踏み外さない。天馬のことをよく見てるんだぞ。
That's huge.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it. This is a very important episode. Wow. Into the storm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a great episode.
That was a fantastic
We
episode.
needed that after the last episode.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. They basically have this really good dynamic where they'll shift into episodic format, introduce good side characters that develop a specific theme for the main characters, but overall have little, you know, probably little main plot relevance.
Sure.
There is some, you know, in there, of course. But in particular with Dr. Schumann, with Petra, Heinz, it's a very self-contained little proper narrative, and it does so much because Tenma is basically this wandering sage of good things that he brings to people. But he carries the burden of having the desire and the need really to kill someone, which is a problem for any civilized society because, you know, murder is not okay. But he can't really explain to them the extenuating circumstances surrounding this.
Who would believe him for one?
Right. So he runs into situations like with Heinz where, you know, it's a little bit crazy. But Schumann was so likable, like from the get-go. And
it was.
I loved every time he was speaking on screen, despite him having his almost like absurdly kind of funny little crush on Petra and stuff. That's just so cute in a way. Like he's like, my reason for living. What? Sorry, I just blurted that out.
Your goulash is really good.
Yeah, and I love to argue with you. That's all it is. Baka, you know.
The tsundere grandpa.
Tsundere grandpa.
Yep.
Oh, it's such a good
old
trope.
curmudgeon-y dude. Yeah. And okay, again, I just want to give props to Monster for knowing how to basically know that, okay, we had some heavy stuff. So now we're going to have just a warm, positive, good feelings episode.
Yes.
To give a breather. And that's really good because I feel like a lot of the time stories will do that in the moment of like going from like hope to despair or something like that.
And it just yo-yos too hard too fast.
It'll either do that or they won't think about doing that in the grand scheme of things. They won't do that in the sort of the zoomed out perspective. They'll just do it in the moment.
Right.
You know. Because like an episode like this, if we weren't so ready for it and needing something like this, we might have, you know, if we were just not really feeling it, we might have been like, this episode is a little bit boring. It was nice, but it was a little bit slower, you know, something like that. But because they place it so nicely in relation to the rest of the story,
that does add something to it. I do think though it's an amazing
it's an amazing episode regardless.
Like it's not very original.
No, but it's very well executed.
It's still a very well executed bit because of how connected this person is essentially to Tenma's story, in that they've essentially got a past that haunts them. And it burdens them towards making a decision that leads them on a mission to which they really have no end in sight. And they'll essentially give their lives up for it without really thinking about themselves. And they need someone else to come in and kind of shake things up a bit so that they can know what they're supposed to do. Tenma still doesn't have that person, but now he kind of does. Eventually in Dieter, and that's so big that Schumann realized this and was like, you go with him. It doesn't make sense for you to be here for one, but also you can keep him on the right path. That's something so big and mature to give to a young child, because the child doesn't really fully comprehend what the doctor is telling him, but he's going to listen to the words, and they will settle in his long-term memory, and he'll be like, okay. Well, and then when it becomes relevant, he'll be like, Dr. Schumann told me I need to keep you on the right path. Like, I don't know what that means, but this is certainly not the right path. And that's going to be a really heartfelt moment when that does come up, because you know it's going to come up at some point.
Well, and okay, here's the other thing. Schumann's words to Heinz, where he's talking about like the loved ones, you don't you don't appreciate them, but you know there will come a time where they'll be gone. That made me think of Dieter. Because he's going with Tenma into places where he doesn't belong, and in a lot of ways Tenma doesn't belong there either. But
totally.
But it's just one of those things where it's like it's this sense of foreboding, and like I hope Tenma really looks at Dieter, and you know, and it's not like he wasn't ignoring him in this episode or anything like that, but I hope it doesn't become something where he's so focused on killing Johan
that he
forgets about
Dieter.
Yeah, and what Schumann said to Dieter was absolutely amazing. And here's the other thing: the fact that he said that to Dieter, we don't know the extent of what Dieter's gone through. We've seen, a good portion of it, and we don't know how that really affected him. Mm-hmm. Tenma has been a great influence on him, and that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that can most help somebody is when they have to help someone else. And I think, and they might not focus on that for Dieter, but I could totally see it being something where that's exactly the kind of thing that Dieter needs, to know that someone else is depending on him, that
for sure,
that he's not just getting helped by Tenma, but he's helping Tenma out too.
Right. Being needed is almost the same as being loved, because when someone says that they love you, in some ways they're saying I want you, like they choose you, but other ways they're saying I can't live without you, so I need you.
Right.
And when
you're my reason for living.
Right. When someone tells that to a young kid, the kid might not fully get it, but the emotion and the heart behind it is often communicated quite well. So there can be a lot of good things that come from that. In particular, this was a very good episode thematically to have after the horrifying Johan watched from on high in his unholy throne as he had the entire inhabitants of a orphanage slaughter each other. It's a good break from that. I really am glad that the scene happened where Heinz came in with the gun and Schumann pleaded with him. And he went so far as to be like, what have you done for your mother in the last 5 years? Like, how have you thanked her for raising you? Did you know that she still makes your goulash serving out of habit, and I eat it? It's delicious. Like, it's those kinds of things where he's not able to communicate with this guy, so he's doing whatever he can. So he's pulling up anything to get some kind of an emotional thing that will unlock him from his fear panicked state. Which is funny because I was gonna say, this is not something where Johan has any direct involvement in, but you understand the fear making him be stupid. Like in this instance, I was like, stupid people with a gun are what scares me. But it's really, in this instance, he's not being stupid. He's scared. Afraid. He's afraid. And people make bad choices when they're sad or scared or stressed.
Live their way.
But when he said she still makes the goulash serving for you. So I'm going to tell you a little story here real quick. I found out from my grandma on my mom's side that there was a time after her kids had all moved out, and she would still, like, every once in a while make too much food. And it was a thing where she had been divorced and stuff, so she was living all alone. And she would have moments where she would have to fight back the tears, not necessarily depression, but pretty close, because it's like
the kids are gone.
And sometimes I know in particular moms can go through a little bit of an identity crisis when they don't have any family around them, because of all kinds of reasons. But in particular, this was one of those things where I was like, oh, wow. And I was living with my grandma for the time, so it did her good to feel like she could put those extra servings of food to someone that was going to appreciate it. And it's such a little thing. It's not a big deal. And if anything, I didn't feel like there was even the slightest bit of, enabling or going on or anything like that. It was just a pure thing of, let me do this. This is a thing that I want to do. It's not feeling like something I have to do. But that line in particular, I was like, oh, that is genius writing. Genius writing. Really, because I think that the boy in Heinz, still, who's now a grown man, thought back, oh yeah, I kind of do remember that. Maybe he doesn't remember the taste, but he remembers I remember feeling good after I've had the goulash. I remember the smiles that she gave to me as we sat across the dinner table. And that was actually in the moment where he stopped talking. Like, Heinz didn't really respond to him after that.
Yeah.
And he backed him out of the door and then gave him a little, get out! Shoved him out of there and shut the door. And I love how Schumann's love for Petra was, I think, primarily what drove him. But by extension, if you think about it, his love for Petra means he loves Heinz in a lot of ways as well.
Sure.
Not in the same way or even close to the same magnitude, but he's kind of like talking to him as if a father would scolding a son, but scolding a son that he does care about, you know?
Right.
It's kind of a snap out of it, son. What's wrong with you? Like, what's gotten into you? Do you really want to kill your mother? Like, come on. This isn't you. What are you doing? Like, who cares what this guy did? Let's talk about that later after you saved your mother.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I really loved Schumann's pleading and his dialogue there. It was just top notch. So good. So.
Also, like, I have to give out major props. This is something that I've noticed Monster doing, you know, pretty regularly, but especially in this episode, where because they're doing an episodic format, right? One of the toughest things about doing an episodic story is that you have to reintroduce all these different elements and characters and things episode by episode, right? And aggressive character introductions are important. So it can be hard to do those sorts of things.
Totally.
So the fact that they were mentioning these little details that we have never actually seen, right? But they're things that we absolutely are like, oh, of course that happened. And the whole thing of like, what have you done for your mother in the last 5 years? That line would be completely jarring if we hadn't already seen, you know, him being so dismissive of the fact that his mother was in the hospital and stuff. Oh, she'll be fine. You know, she'll be fine. She's tough. You know, whatever. It's
nothing can kill her.
Nothing can kill her. And it's like, yeah, there's probably a lot of, you know, respect going for that. And, you know, and I'm sure she is a very tough woman, but she's in the hospital. Like, aren't you a little bit concerned?
Well, no, she was in the hospital. She wasn't in the hospital. She was in her own house.
Or she was in her own house. But, you know, one of those things.
She had collapsed recently.
Exactly, yeah.
And he showed, like, little to no concern about that.
Right, and because they threw those little bits in there earlier, when Schumann delivered that line, we believe it, right?
Right, it hit home better. So basically, Monster didn't waste any time building up the characters in this side episode. In particular, they actually used a clever bit of just dumping us into a story with no context by having Tenma be the absentee kind of character that it's like, someone came and treated the drunk Mr. Fink, and we're like, oh, that's Tenma. That has to be Tenma. It's the only person that would do that.
Right.
And yet they started with Schumann pleading with Petra. Out of context,
which one, if you think about it, is a great thing to do because it was funny, so it helped endear us to the characters.
It was pretty funny.
It was the first thing they showed us was what was tied to the main point of the episode, right? That this is what's going to be the main point of conflict,
right?
And then they brought it back to Tenma, so it was very well set up.
Yeah. This is a thing I think that Monster does as well, is they deftly handle mini time skips.
Yeah.
And they do this, I would say 95% of the time they do it quite well. There's a couple times where they do it and then they'll do like a time skip and then they'll jump back like every once like in a while, and that I think that was the thing they did with the guy training him how to use the gun and stuff, and that was a little bit jarring. But because the episode was so good, I gave it a pass, you know.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But those little time skips and stuff allow us to make this whole thing feel like a journey. Because then you realize that the monotony of them going from place to place, or even the traveling itself, is not really a part of the story. It's about the people that are helped along the way. It's about the people that they encounter along the way. And, I really like this show, but I really like the characters in this show.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Monster as a show probably gets a lot of credit for Johan.
Sure.
You know, in terms of the extraneous community out there that, you know, acknowledges Monster as being one of those shows that's probably really good. They probably think, oh yeah, Johan's the
and I mean, you know, with good reason.
Johan is pretty terrifying,
yeah.
And the sound design, the directing, and the story in general, and just the character of Tenma. But these side characters, every single time they've had an episode where it was, you know, essentially a plot less episode, a plot, main plot episode, a Johan less episode.
Right.
They kill it in the side plots and stuff.
Yeah.
So
because it's not
fantastic work.
It's not just that they make us care about the characters in an episode, because
right.
you could do that and that's still impressive. But they make us care about the characters and then resolve what's happening with the characters, that little mini plot, whatever it is, and then move on. That is a lot harder to do. A lot of times I feel like people, like stories will do that. They'll introduce the characters, make us care about them a bit, and then basically leave them on the side for a bit. And then come visit them again later, and that's when they resolve whatever story it was, whatever the real story it was that they had.
Okay.
But Monster hasn't been doing that, and that's really impressive.
I think for the most part, generally stories resolve the mini arc of the episodic episode, within the single episode. But the main thing about it is that it doesn't contribute much generally to the themes of the main cast. So in this case, it really does, almost overtly so, by literally calling Schumann's past into the forefront and showing that he was literally going to be Tenma.
Right.
In terms of just how he was set up as a doctor. But I think that this episode really focused on the things that people will do when they're burdened by the past. And even in some ways, Heinz is kind of like this. Heinz, we don't know why he left kind of his mother. It's a small village and stuff. So maybe everyone lives with their family for all the time and stuff. And he's single, I'm guessing, Heinz, because he doesn't seem to ever talk anything about a family and stuff, and maybe he wanted to focus on getting a career, in particular because he's
parallel
trying to promotion.
To Schumann, and
and he was on his way to being like Schumann, and therefore like the wrong side of Tenma's alternate history if it had gone that way.
Right.
And this is Tenma's actions to save a drunk man ended up saving a doctor who had ended up saving the mom of a policeman that they ended up saving as well. And then it also ended up saving Dieter in a lot of ways, because by this episode happening, they're solving the question, which is probably the biggest main plot question, was what are they going to do with Dieter?
Exactly.
Dieter is going to stay with Tenma. Holy crap.
So
Dieter is going to
see
stay
how
with
they do
Tenma.
That. Like, because
I don't
so much conflict that can come from that.
Yeah, a whole lot of potential stuff, and most of it is bad. Most of it is bad.
Yeah, but there's also but it's also like that thing where Dieter, like I'm so looking forward to that point where everything is just so dark, and then Dieter ends up being that little that light in the darkness for Tenma when he needs it the most. And the idea that Tenma's actions previously have helped set up this way for him to be maybe saved if he goes too far down the wrong path.
Right. I had a really crackpot theory just now.
What?
But what if Dieter is like I'm just gonna go way deep. What if Dieter is kind of the future of this story? So you think about what Johan is, right? He is someone that was dealt, Johan was someone that was dealt basically the bad hand as a kid, but didn't have someone like Tenma in this situation.
Right, and Dieter is the
opposite in that he was dealt the bad hand, but he had Tenma.
Right. So in the same way that Schumann is the reverse of Tenma, and if things had gone differently for Tenma, Dieter is the reverse for Johan. If things go differently with Johan, which also means that they could theoretically have Tenma get removed from the story at the end, like thrown in jail or whatever, or something, or however it ends up happening.
No. Tenma's going all the way to the end.
No, he's going all the way to the end. I'm saying at the end of it, they could resolve it where, something like he kills Johan, he gets arrested for murder,
Oh, okay. And as an epilogue, they just show Dieter having a happy, normal life.
Right, and that's
married with kids and just doing the normal life thing in a happy place because of Tenma's actions. So it's the one-for-one equivalent exchange kind of thing. I think that's one way it could go.
What's the way you think it'll go?
The way I think it'll go more so is that Johan is going to at some point look at Dieter and be like, yeah, that would have been nice, but you know what, I kind of like where I am right now, kind of, when he's like, I'm enjoying the monstrous things I can do and stuff like that. And I think Dieter won't be immune to Johan's influence, but I think there's going to be a really powerful moment where Johan is going to reach out and he's going to flash back to seeing Hartman and Dieter. He's going to be like, and then he's going to be like, no.
Yeah,
I have because the thing is, Dieter's word, Tenma's words to Dieter was that the world
is not an abyss.
Well, not the world's not an abyss, but that tomorrow is going to be a good day, or like basically that tomorrow will come again, like something that.
Yeah.
And Johan will kind of go, huh? Well, I guess I'll have to okay, like, all right, you get a pass, kid. Kind of a.
It'll be like. Not necessarily shake him up, but at the very least make him
kind of go
take a double take.
Like I don't think Johan's the kind of person who would get frustrated at a kid and kill him or something. I think the scary thing, and I think there's like a 5% chance of this happening, is that Johan uses the kid for his own ends and ends up killing him or doing something horrible with him, and that just boils my blood. But I think the positive thing is that it's going to be some blend of what you're thinking of it could be and something of where I'm thinking, in that Dieter represents what Johan could have been.
So by that, Johan needs to at some point see it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That's my crack.
That would be so crazy. That's like the kind of thing of basically it's the child standing undaunted before the monster. But and you think about that, and I might be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But like all these images come to my mind of more literal monsters and the
epic fantasy kind of imagery.
Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly what kind of imagery you're thinking of. It's pretty legit. Yeah. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Anything you want to discuss in particular?
There was the thing with the goulash, right?
Yeah.
That was you said it so well. It was so good. It was one of those little things, and it made me think of Toradora, one of my favorite lines in Toradora. It's those no big deal things that matter the most.
Right.
The idea that all those little things that, Heinz's mom did for him, and, he doesn't really think much of it. No big deal. It's like, no, those are everything.
Yeah.
And,
all right, cool, guys. Well, if you want to see the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You get on early access. You can watch full-length reactions there. All this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us about stories or basically anything. And yeah, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.